Hello there, great people. How are you? Happy Higher Self Wednesday. I'm Karen White, and I am the author of this great book, Changing the Game Plan, which is all behind me and everything. I thought I would come to you this Wednesday with a new look and try some of this fun stuff that we have available out here to us. So go in the comments and tell me what you think, and if you like it, if you don't like it, just be honest. But anyway, how are you? I hope you've been having a great week. I hope you've been going to meetings, talking to your sponsor, reading your literature, and just taking care of yourself and enjoying your life to the fullest. Well, I am so excited. I am the author of this book that you see all behind me, Changing the Game Plan. And what Changing the Game Plan is basically my workbook of what I use to work the steps. And I have used this for hundreds, maybe even thousands of women. It's 56 pages and it's totally a workbook. And therefore, you need to work it with a sponsor or a clergyman or a counselor or a friend in the program, something. But this workbook has to be worked. This book has to be worked with somebody. It's basically set up 12-step style. No matter what program you're in, a non-program, which is Al-Anon, Nar-Anon, CODA, whatever non-program you're in, or whatever addictive program you're in, whether it's AA, NA, Overeaters Anonymous, Sex Anonymous, Gamblers, this book works for anybody. I have let people in all types of programs borrow the way that I process the steps, and it has worked for anybody. So this book it's the 12-step journal, and it's based on the 4 books, the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, which is our Bible. And I always say, no matter what program you're in, you need the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, because that's where the steps were written from. And yes, there's great literature out here, including my book back here, but we still need the big book. The AA 12 and 12, those are the 2 original addictive books in the addictive program. Then you have the non-books that I use, which is the Al-Anon 12 and 12 and the Al-Anon ODAP books. So those are the 4 books that I use in my journal and how I work the program. I have 4 sponsors over my 35 plus years in the program. I'm in both sides of this program, so I understand both sides of it. And it's just something to do to get better. So anyway, it's available on Al-Anon, and you can go out there and order it and get it and start beginning. Anyway, I'm so excited. I love these Higher Self Wednesdays. For me, I get to study and get to talk to you. And so as I'm studying, I am preparing myself, and I'm learning so much over and over again, because our program is a never ending program. No matter how many years you've been in this room, no matter what you're doing, you're always learning more and more. I've heard early on in the program, we're like onions, we're constantly unraveling. And so I am just unraveling myself, teaching the steps. I love the steps. The steps are here to help us. The steps, I always say, help us. The traditions always help us in relationships, but the steps are definitely here to clean us out and help us. And we are so privileged today. We get to talk about step 5, and I am so excited. I love step 5, because all the steps changed my life. But I always, when I get to a step, I always say, it changed my life. It changed my life. Yes, step 5 changed my life. But remember, you cannot work step 5 unless you work 1 through 4. These steps are set in order for a reason. So don't skip the steps, work the steps, okay? So let's get started. And one of the things that I always like to do is in my book, no matter what step you're on, you have to look up every word in the step, because there is so much meaning to why Dr. Bob and Bill Wilson and the 100 people wrote these steps with the words that they used. They were precise. Every single word is precise to our understanding the step. And remember, we're 12-step people. We do nothing unless we understand it. That is one thing I have learned about 12-step people. And that's why these rooms are so important for us, because in these rooms, we get understanding. We get understanding of why we do what we do, why we need to do something else, whatever. We're just constantly in the phase of understanding. And so when we look up every word, we really just get that understanding. So step 5 says, admit it to God, to ourselves, and to another human being, the exact nature of our wrong. Admit it means to allow scope for, to concede as true or valid. I love that. It just starts off, admit it, to concede as true and valid. Isn't that a powerful word to start off with? 2, in one direction toward a person or thing. God, your relationship that you have with God. 2, in one direction toward a person or a thing. Ourselves. It says a reflective form of we. It's used as an intensive we with ourselves is. And that's something, because in all these steps, it's either we, us, them, they, whatever, because these steps let you know that you are not unique. You are not alone. There's millions and millions of us like you, and we know what we're doing. Okay, so you just come in here and listen and take what you like and leave the rest, but do not leave this program. And means along with, in addition, as a consequence. Another, one more, an additional. Human, a person. Being, isn't it funny? It says human being, the state or quality of having existence. To the extent by that much, beyond any other. Exact, strictly and completely in accordance with fact, not diverting from truth or reality. Isn't that powerful? Exact, strictly and completely. That's what you're doing with the 5th step, being strictly and completely in accord with fact, not diverting from truth or reality. Isn't that powerful? Nature, the basic character or quality of humanity. Of, caused by, resulting from. Ours, of, belonging to or associated in some way with us. Powerful. Wrongs, unfair and unjust. And I love wrongs, the definition, unfair and unjust on both sides, no matter what. But you are going to take care of your side and your side only. And that's what makes it so powerful. Now, if you go back in the 4-step videos on YouTube, I actually show how to set up your 4-step, which I do the 4-step just like they do it in the big book. I set up the columns and just like they do in the big books, and that's how the 4-step comes. But when and go back over the videos and you'll see it anyway. And also it's in the book as well. But listen, the 5th step is so important because the 5th step is really clearing up the 3 areas that is allowing you not to become spiritually fit. Because when you admit to God, last week I talked and I shared a little bit of my story, and I'll kind of bring it up to date for you. I talked about that. That morning of the 5th step, I had no idea what my sponsor was going to do. And she had me wake up and call her first. And then we prayed together. And then she gave me the instructions before I came to her. And the instructions were to find a place where I could see God, a porch, a balcony, just open up a window, sit on the bed, whatever. Just something where you can look up to the sky and see God. And when I did, it was so funny how I looked up, but then yet God's presence was right there in the room with me. And I got a chance to read my 4-step to him. And when I did, it was beautiful because I realized that God had seen all these things and he was still loving me. He was still there for me. And it repaired that damaged relationship that I had between me and God at that time. And so, because my relationship with him was he didn't care, he wasn't listening. And I was just always trying to move him, push him to do the things that I couldn't do, that I was trying to make him do for me, whether they were right or wrong for me. And I hope you understood that. But then after that, I got the opportunity to stand in front of a mirror and read that 4-step to me. And once I read that 4-step to me, I became responsible for Karen. That's when, I mean, that was the meat. I looked at myself and I thought, from this point on, I'm going to fight for you and I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make you get better. And at that time, I had worked 1 through 3, so I knew I was getting better, because when you get better in this program, you know it. It's deep. You can feel it coming out of you, and you can feel yourself changing, and you can feel yourself thinking differently. And so I had already started on that path. So now here I am, 5th step. And then when I went to my sponsor, oh my God, she shared so much with me, and I cried. I got happy. There was so many emotions. I was angry sometimes. But no matter what the emotions or what was going on, I was just getting all that stuff out of me, just getting it out of me. And I was watching a person at that time, not judging me, not telling me what to do, but just sharing. And in the sharing, I was taking so much from her to do, because she was sharing with me and sharing with me. And then the literature was sharing with me, and I was taking that to do, because we were reading through the literature, which you'll see that in Changing the Game Plan. When you work the 5th step, there's process of where you bring all this and tie all this in, all of our literature and stuff into this. And it was so awesome and so beautiful. And it took hours to do this. That's why it's so important that you get in this program and you get a sponsor, because it's very hard for a counselor to sit with you for 8 hours. And my 4th step took almost 8 hours to do. Can you imagine that? It was an all-day process between when I started in the morning till when I ended. But when I ended, I was never the same, and I have not been the same again. So it's a wonderful, wonderful process. And so let's get started. We're in the big book, and we're going to start in the big book. And last week, if you didn't see the video, go back over these videos and see them and catch up. And remember, these are your videos. Do what you want to do with them. Share them with other people, because this is the way you can share the program with other people, through the videos. Go back yourself. Make sure when you're here with me, you have your literature. You're writing down all this, and you're studying, because they say that when you're studying and you're reading and you're writing, you're really putting it in you, and that's when you're really getting things. So last week we ended on page 73 of the big book, and on the 5th step we were into the action. But today we're going to start on page 74. And it's so interesting, because when I first came into this program, I had done something. I had sat down and wrote down all my favorite things on different pages. And I have a whole list here. I know you can't really see it because of the way the screen is, but this is writing this over 30 some years old that I did back years ago. And it talks about some of the things that touch me the most. And one of the things that touched me the most on page 74, it was in the second paragraph, where it says, "We have no right to save our own skin at another person's expense." Isn't that something? We have no right. We have to do a fifth step and you want to do it quickly. And let me tell you something, those of you that are out there that need to do, I know they have books out there that you can just pick up and do it yourself. I don't know how that works because I don't have experience with that. The only thing that I have experience with in the 12-step program is working these steps with a sponsor. And when you work these steps with the sponsor, you have somebody that is guiding you through these steps and that can walk you through these steps and that can monitor you. One of the things that I talked about last week, and I'm going to talk to you guys that are out here that are sponsoring people. When these people start writing this 4th step, do not let them set in this for weeks. I've heard people say, I've been writing the 4th step for 13 months. I would have died. I wrote my 4th step for 2 weeks and my sponsor monitored me and talked to me a lot, had me call her and was monitoring. It is a lot of emotions that you are seeing when you're writing the 4th step and you don't know what you're going through. And then you're afraid because now you're getting ready to tell your dirt one more time to somebody. And because you've tried to talk to people before that have misused you or treated you bad or used it against you, you get afraid. So there's a lot of monitoring that has to be done. That's why you need to be under sponsorship in this program. Very important to be under sponsorship in this program. And so it says we have no right to save our own skin at another person's expense. We just don't. And if we don't do this and get this out of us, in the big book, it says we will start drinking. So whenever you see drinking, just put whatever your addiction is. You'll start controlling. You'll go back to eating. You'll go back to drugging. Whatever your addiction, you'll go back to codependency. Whatever, you will go back. So when we do this 5th step, yes, it's risky. Yes, it feels weird. Yes, we don't know what's going to happen. Yes, but I tell you, it's going to be okay. I've never in 35 plus years seen a 5th step not turn out great. Anybody that's ever done it has changed. Their lives have changed tremendously for them. I'm going to go up. That was in the 2nd paragraph. But I'm going to go up because there's a couple of things that I want to talk about because this talks about religion too. And I like this part where it says, those of us belonging to a religious denomination which requires confession must, and of course, will want to go to the proper appointment authority whose duty it is to receive it. Though we have no religious connection, we may still do well to talk to someone ordained by an established religion. We often find such a person quick to see and understand our problems. Of course, we sometimes encounter people who do not understand alcoholics. And that's what I was talking about earlier. We have been through that situation of encountering people who did not understand us. But I'm telling you now, you're in these rooms and you're really in these rooms and you're in a good meeting and you're going to meetings and you got a sponsor, and they're working the program and they're working the step and they're reading the literature. Make sure that your sponsor is working the step, going to meetings, reading her literature and able to send you to the literature and show you things in the literature because we have tools and we need to be guided by the tools that we have. And sharing her experience, strength, and hope, you will get there because in the 5th step, in that arena, in that room, in that period, you are going to absorb so much information, so much knowledge about why you did things, why other people did things to you. It's just a whirlwind of knowledge that you get by doing this, and so much understanding of why you could not get things together, why you couldn't do them the way you were doing. And you get to see how you're thinking and why you're thinking like that and get to straighten it out. It's a beautiful thing. The next paragraph on page 74, it says, it goes on to say, if notwithstanding the great necessity for discussing ourselves with someone, it may be one is so situated that there is no suitable person available. If that is so, this step may be postponed. Only, however, if we hold ourselves in complete readiness to go through with it the first opportunity. Right now, it might be fresh to you, but let me tell you something. If you can't find a sponsor in this program, go to somebody and have them help you. Start with somebody, but do not sit in these rooms 5, 6, 7 years and years and not get a sponsor and work these steps. I have run across people that have been in these rooms for years and not work the steps. Yes, you will feel better very little bit. These steps are meant to change you 360 degrees. By the time you get to step 12, you are in a big changing place in your life. So get a sponsor. If you can't do it, go to somebody and let them match somebody with you to get you going in this program. On page 75, I like the part where, and it actually comes from the end of page 74. It says, it is important that he be able to keep a confidence that he fully understands and approve what we are driving at, that he will not try to change our plans, but we must not use this as a mere excuse to postpone. So if you're trying to use someone outside of this program and you're not using somebody in this program, just be very careful, because sometimes you have to keep a lot of confidence with the 4-step, because people are revealing things to you that is believable, and they need to feel safe, and they need to know that you're taking this to the grave. I have heard so many 5th steps in my life, and I'm taking them to the grave. Nobody knows whether I'm still sponsoring that person or not. The confidence level is just there. It was taught to me when I shared my 5th step and somebody kept my confidence. So make sure that whoever you're doing this with, preferably is somebody in the 12-step program, but it could be your counselor or somebody else, but make sure that they're able to keep confidence, okay? It goes on. One of my favorite parts on page 75, it says this: we pocket our pride and go to it, eliminating every twist of character, every dark cranny of the past. Once we have taken this step, withholding nothing, we are delighted. We can look at the world in the eye. We can be alone at perfect peace and ease. Our fears fall from us. We begin to feel the nearness of our Creator. We may have had certain spiritual beliefs, but now we begin to have a spiritual experience. And that's what it was when I read that 4-step to God and to myself. It was a spiritual experience. The feelings that the drinking problem has disappeared will often come strongly. We feel we are on the broad highway walking hand in hand with the spirit of the universe. Now, one of the things that I talk about in changing the game plan is that whenever you have somebody read this, when you're reading from the big book, put your name in it. I'm going to take this little chapter right here, this little paragraph, I'm sorry, not chapter, this paragraph, and I'm going to show you something. This is how I read this. Karen pockets her pride and goes to it, eliminating every twist of character, every dark cranny past. Once Karen took this step, withholding nothing, Karen is delighted. Karen can look the world in the eye. Karen can be alone at perfect peace and ease. Karen's fears fall from Karen. When Karen begins to feel nearness to her creator, Karen may have certain spiritual beliefs, but now Karen can begin to have a spiritual experience. The feelings that the drinking problem has disappeared will often come strongly. Karen feels Karen is now on the broad highway, walking hand in hand with the spirit of the universe. Make this program yours. Make it personal. And then I love this part. This part here, I work with all the steps, no matter what step you're on. Once you come and we physically work it, or we're working it on Zoom or whatever, this is at the end of the step. I always have people do this. And it says, returning home, we find a place where we can sit quiet for an hour, carefully reviewing what we have done. We thank God from the bottom of our heart that we know him better. And it says, taking this book down from the shelves, we turn to the pages which contain the 12 steps. Carefully reading the first 5 proposals, we ask if we have omitted anything, for we are building an arch toward which we shall walk a free man at last. I love that. We are building. We go home after we do the steps, we go home, we take that freedom for an hour and just get our thoughts together. Because let me tell you something, when you're working these steps and you're having these spiritual experiences, something just major happened. And you need that hour after you've left your sponsor to just go home and just sit back and go, what just happened? It was so powerful. And feel and let go of the change that has just come on your life. Embrace it. Embrace it with the directions that whatever your sponsor has given you to do after you get back home and everything. Well, it's getting that time. I try to keep these to like 20 to 30 minutes, nowhere past 30 minutes. So we're right at that point, but keep coming back. I will complete the 12 steps this year. There's a new video for you every Wednesday on YouTube. And remember what I always say when I get to this point, fight for your life. Do what these rooms suggest. Go to meetings, go to as many as you want. Get a sponsor, work this program. Start being friends with these people. Talk to these people in these rooms. Let them get into you. Let them penetrate in your life. Do whatever it takes to change and get well. Fight for your life. We're at the end. Keep going to meetings, like I said, and do what I said. And blessings over you today, great people, until we meet again.